Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So as you know, Wednesday means it's Wild Card Wednesday, and I am super excited to show off this list. So this is Legacy that we're heading to today, and the deck we're looking at is Mono Red Storm. And the big deal here is this deck is $281 or 132 ticks, which is absurdly cheap for Legacy. This is as cheap as it gets. You gotta consider Legacy's $3,000, $4,000 for a deck. So this is like super ultra budget. If you compare this to Standard, this would be a Standard deck that was like $10 if you compared the normal price to the price of the individual deck. So it's super, super cheap. More importantly, it took Rampart to a 5-0 finish in a competitive Legacy league on Magic Online. And competitive Legacy leagues, as the name suggests, are pretty competitive. This isn't the infamous small Japanese tournament. It didn't win a IQ in Cookiesville. Nothing like that. It won a legit tournament. So not only super cheap, but apparently competitive enough to beat real decks because competitive leagues are super competitive. So I'm super excited to show off Mono Red Storm. And by the way, congrats to Rampart on their finish with the deck. A quick reminder, if you want to see Mono Red Storm in action, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, because whatever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. And let's break down the beauty of Mono Red Storm in Legacy. So, like all Storm decks, the idea of Mono Red Storm is to cast a ton of spells in the same turn to up the Storm count and then take advantage of that Storm count to win the game. So a key piece of this is the Ritual package, making a bunch of mana. These are spells that cost us a card, because we're down a card when we cast them, but they actually net us mana, which lets us cast more spells. So Rite of Flames, super powerful. The first one isn't that impressive, plus 1 mana. You spend 1, you get 2. The second one is a Dark Ritual. You spend 1, you get 3. The third one is insane. You spend 1, you get 4. And if you get all 4 in the same game, you're gaining 4 mana for a single card, spending 1 to get 5. So a super powerful ritual, banned in Modern. Desperate Ritual, just a one-of additional ritual. The other big one is Seething Song, also banned in Modern, plus 2 mana. You spend 3 to get 5, so it's basically the same rate as Dark Ritual, except you need 3 mana to get it going. So these are our main rituals. We also have some fast mana in Lotus Petal and Simian Spirit Guide, just to help us cast spells. Spirit Guide is weird because it doesn't generate Storm count because we're exiling it. I guess we can cast it as a creature, but most of the time, we're just exiling it to make 1 additional mana. Lotus Petal does generate Storm count, free mana, can't go wrong there. The unique thing about this deck is the cost reduction effect. So in some ways, this kind of feels like a modern Storm deck. The modern Storm decks uses Brawl, uses Goblin Electromancer to make spells cheaper. In this deck, we have Ruby Medallion and Helm of Awakening, which makes all of our spells, well, Ruby Medallion red spells, which is almost all of our spells, and Helm Awakening any spell, but it makes our spells cheaper to cast. So this means when we cast a Seething Song, instead of being plus 2 mana, we're actually plus 3 mana. It makes all of our rituals so much better and so much crazier, and affects a lot of our other spells as well. So tons of fast mana to cast a bunch of spells. Then we have some weird card advantage. Manamorphose works really well with our cost reduction effects, because it actually generates a mana, and it draws us a card. So it's not only free card-wise, but gaining us mana if we have out a Ruby Medallion or something like that. Gitaxian Probe lets us see if the coast is clear. Counter spells can be an issue for our deck. We can get beat by a Force of Will on a key spell. Active Impulse looks pretty weird, but if we can make it cheap enough, maybe down to 2 or just 1 mana, getting 3 cards for a low price is actually a pretty big deal. Yes, we gotta cast them right away on the same turn, but we don't really care because we're gonna try to storm off anyway, and we're planning on casting them, so it's not like we wanted to hold them in our hand anyway. And then we have the Red Mind's Desire, Hazoret's Undying Fury, the new edition from Hour of Devastation, basically gets us 4 cards, hopefully. Everything in our deck is less than 5 mana, so however many non-lands we hit, we get to cast for free. Our lands don't untap, whatever, we're trying to win the game right away. The other big one is Reforge the Soul, which is basically a Wheel of Fortune. It's a little expensive. We're not going to miracle it very often, but if we can stack up some Ruby Medallions and Helms of Awakening and get this down to like 3 mana, we build ourselves a Wheel of Fortune so we can cast all of our rituals, cast all of our fast mana, and then just refill our hand and keep going and find our finishers. We have Past in Flames as the card that just kind of closes out the game. This lets us reuse all of our rituals, all of our cantrips, everything we cast, and we have Gamble as kind of a 4th Past in Flames in the main deck. You probably notice only 3 Past in Flames. There's a reason for that we'll get to in a minute. Gamble can tutor up anything, but it's specifically good when we're tutoring up Past in Flames because Past in Flames has flashback, so even if we discard it to the Gamble and lose the wager, we still get to cast it. It just costs 1 more mana. We have in the mana base 11 mountains, 4 ancient tombs, for even more fast mana, so a pretty low land count, only 15 lands because we have so much ritual mana and lotus petal mana and other sources of mana. Our last main deck card, and we've had a few of these decks recently, but is Burning Wish. So we have our finishers in the sideboard, so we don't actually have a way to kill our opponent main deck. Instead, we're looking to cast all of our spells, make a ton of mana, get a huge storm count, and then Burning Wish for a Grape Shot or an Empty the Warrens to close out the game. So, Grape Shot, most direct kill. If our opponent doesn't have a Leyline of Sanctity, if we have a storm count of 20, it just wins us a game on the spot. Empty the Warrens gets around Leyline of Sanctity and some of that kind of stuff. However, it's a little bit riskier because we can make all these goblins, we spend all of our stuff on this huge storm turn, and our opponent's able to maybe Pyroclasm away our board. So it's kind of our backup. Number 1 is definitely Grape Shot, but in a pinch, we can go with the Empty the Warrens plan too. Since we're Burning Wishing, and can search up any sorcery from our sideboard. We have our 4th Past in Flames, so that's why we only have 3 in the main deck. We can always Burning Wish for a copy. We have another Reforge the Soul for our Wheel of Fortune action, another Gamble, so we can technically use Burning Wish to get any card in our main deck, assuming we win the bet. Cave-In gives us a Pyroclasm that's kind of free. We draw a lot of cards, so we can use a red card that we don't really need to wipe away a whole bunch of things from our opponent's board. Also gets rid of some annoying things like Ethersworn Canonist, which kind of shut down the combo, and 1 Bifrost to get rid of artifacts. As far as targets that don't get hit by Burning Wish, Defense Grid gives us protection against counter spells. Basically, if our opponent wants to Force of Will, they gotta spend 3 mana. If they want a counter spell, they gotta spend 5 mana. So it makes it really, really hard for our opponent to beat us with counter spells. Gives us free reign to just combo off and not worry about that stuff. Scabcan Berserker is a good mirror breaker if we run into another storm type deck. Anytime our opponent casts a spell, they're gonna take 2 damage, so it's really hard to storm off with a Scabcan Berserker that's been renowned. A Brave gives us a bit more removal, and Tormod Script for graveyards, and that's Mono Red Storm, ultra budget Mono Red Storm for Legacy. And that's our Instant Deck for today, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.